Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Wizard101. So today we're just gonna go over like all the schools, which school is the best to start off with, which school is the worst to start off with, from the worst school all the way up to the best school to start. So this is just a video to help anyone who's like starting the game and wants to know like which school is like best mechanic wise, in my opinion, on who's the easiest to start with and who's like the worst to start with. So we're gonna go from like the worst school and climb our way up to number one. I'm gonna be basing these schools off of their spells and pretty much their stats early on, and see which school overall is the number one school and is the easiest school to quest with, and also to go through the game early on. So this is all my opinion. It's not necessarily like gonna be the same as some other people's. So it's just all what I have in mind after playing each one of these schools from the ground up. So hopefully this video helps you guys figure out which school is the best one, and overall just help you guys in the future. So let's go ahead and get on to the worst school in this list. So I'll see you guys then. Alright guys, so to first start off with the rankings, we have Storm at number 7 as the worst school to start off with. Now Storm is great later on in the game, but early on the game, the reason why they're the worst school is because their health is the weakest, and also their accuracy is just terrible early on. Like, you will hardly be able to summon these spells early on in the game, such as like Thunder Snake. 70% chance of summoning these spells. It's the worst accuracy in the game for spells, and also your health is very low, and so is your resistance. So questing a Storm early on is pretty terrible, but later on in the game, Storm gets a lot more like better accuracy and stuff later on. As you can tell, my max Storm here has 42% accuracy, so later on Storm picks up, but like early on in the game, Storm lacks in health and accuracy, so it can be a pain sometimes when you're about to kill a boss before they kill you and you just fizzle your spell. So that's the main reason why Storm is all the way at the bottom of this list. All the other schools I haven't had really an issue early on in the game, but it was just annoying for me just fizzing a lot as Storm when I first started as this school. So that is the reason why this school is at number 7 and why all the other schools are much better on this list. So that's Storm for number 7, guys. Let's go ahead and move on to the next school. Alright guys, so we're here with the number 6 school. It is Myth. So reason why Myth is number 6 is because Myth just gets a lot of minion spells early on in the game. So compared to all the other schools, Myth just gets a lot of like minion spells, like Golem minion. Those minions are pretty weak. They don't have too much health. I mean, you're just wasting your pips mainly for these minions, like Troll minion, Cyclops minion, Minotaur minion, there's just so many different minions. Talos. Like early on in the game, Myth just gets a lot of minions, and I mean, I don't really see point in the minions. I mean, they can be good for PvP, but if we're talking like PvE and stuff, the minions, I don't know. I mean, the spells for Myth are decent. They're not too bad. Like 80% chance of summoning them. Accuracy is also not too bad. Myth does lack in health as well. Compared to Storm, though, they get more health in Storm, but they do lack more health than the other spirit schools like Life and Death. So that's why they're below Life and Death. They lack in health. Their damage is alright as well. Like, it's not too bad. Cyclops is great. And Humongo Frog is just a great level 22 AoE spell. This is the first Myth AoE. It's just great. Earthquake is also not too bad. It can be pretty annoying. And with the new update with Orthrus, like, Myth doesn't go wrong with AoEs. It's just that early on in the game, I just don't really like the minions. I mean, they can be helpful for PvP, but other than PvP, it's just not very helpful for PvE, because those bosses can easily kill them. and they might use your own traps and stuff for you. So yeah, that's why I didn't. That's the main reason why I didn't like the minions and don't like Myth early on in the game. Later on in the game, though, once you hit level 48 with Myth, it's just smooth sailing. It's easy, and yeah, I like Myth later on in the game, but early on in the game, I did not like Myth. So that's the only downside for Myth is all the minions, and those minions can use your traps, which can tick you off sometimes, like me. So yeah, that's the reason why Myth is number 6. I'm sorry for all those Myth lovers out there, but that is the reason why I have Myth so low on the total poll. So let's go ahead and move on to the number 5 school now. Alright guys, at number 5 here we have Life. So Life it has the highest accuracy out of all the schools early on in the game, but Life just gets too many heals and stuff early on that it is kind of difficult to like hit all the enemies and pretty much get through the game as Life early on. But with changes like getting Forest Lord now at level 48 now, so Life has changed a little bit, but it's still lower than the other schools in my opinion. So this is why it's number 5 on this list. I think it's a little bit easier to play than Storm and Myth, which is why it's above those two. And yeah, so you get Nature's Wrath level 12, but you don't get Life Trap until level 12 either. Like Life Trap, you have to go to Colossus Boulevard and train at the Secret Trainer to train that Life Trap spell. So you don't get this for a while until level 12, and then you can finally get your Life Trap spell. And also you don't get any AoEs till later on in the game. So Forest Lord is your first life AoE at level 48 now, since it's changed from Rebirth. And yeah, that's pretty much the reason why Life is so low on the list, is because you don't get an AoE for a while. And if you want an AoE like Ratatoskr, you're going to have to either spend crowns or farm Lore Master and Dragonspire to get this spell. So I mean, this will be your lowest AoE for Life. Or if you have the Kookaburra pet, you have Leaf Storm. But I mean, you have to work to get those things. I'm talking about like free, or like not using any pets, not using like any packs or any of that. It's Forest Lord, and that's not till a while. And it's just annoying. I mean, you have a lot of single hits like Seraph that are good. Centaur's pretty good. Centaur you'll probably use the most until you get Forest Lord. And I mean, you just get a lot of healing spells like Satyr. I mean, you have a Guardian, you got Sprite, Unicorn, Fairy, Sanctuary, Absorb. Like, you have a lot of support like cards early on in the game. You don't really have too many damage cards early on, so that can make life a little more difficult. But they're great for support early on, don't get me wrong. They're like one of the top schools for support. But if we're talking about easy school to start questing and easily breeze through the start of the game, Life is probably not the best choice. But if you like the support and you want to be able to heal everyone, this is the school to pick. This school is great for healing and support, so go for Life if you guys like doing that. But otherwise, this is number 5 in my opinion on the list of the worst school to start off with. So let's go ahead and move on to the 4th best school now. Alright guys, so we're here with number 4, which is Fire. So Fire is the 4th best school to start off with in my opinion. This school has low accuracy early on, 75%, which is pretty much the reason why they're this low. Again, just kind of like Storm, you hardly are able to summon your spells early on in the game, but later on in the game, this school is a beast. Like, this is one of the best hitting schools besides Storm in the game, and they also have very good health, as you guys can see over here. They pretty much have 1,000 more health than Storm does, and their resistance is great across the board. Damage is great, of course. Accuracy is up there. Critical is great. Pretty much everything about this school later on is beautiful. But early on in the game, they have pretty decent spells. Just your accuracy is 75%, and your health isn't. I mean, your health is. I think Fire has health up there. Yeah, their health is kind of up there as fire. So fire's health is all right at the beginning of the game. They're just like an overall school, and when they get higher level, they're just gonna be a beast of a school later on. So you guys can look forward to fire. It's a very fun school to play early on, and it's number 4 on this list, so it's kind of in between, which is great. I mean, you got Fire Elf as well. Fire Elf is amazing, especially when they shield. You can just hit, and then the overtime will kill them. You get worthless spells like Link, and Fire just gets some worthless spells early on. Every school gets one of these elementals at level 18. But Fire does get a great AoE early on, level 22. Meteor Strike, very good spell to use. I still use it. But Fire just gets some good spells. Minus like Power Link and some of these other spells. Excuse me. I mean, Detonate, you know. But everything else about Fire is just great. Like, nothing's wrong with Fire. Link is... I don't know why this spell even exists. I mean, the heals is pretty worthless when you have Fairy and other spells. But, yeah. But other than that, yeah, Fire is a great school overall. It's just their accuracy just lacks. And that's why it's probably a little bit more difficult to play as them early on. And why they're at number 4. And the other 3 schools that are above the schools is better. And I'll pretty much tell you guys why I believe they're better. And yeah, that's the only downside of Fire, honestly, at the beginning, is their accuracy, which is why they're placed at number 4. If their accuracy was maybe 5% higher or so, then they will be close to the number 1 spot. That's how close these like top schools are to each other. It's all depending on like their accuracy and their stats and stuff early on in the game. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to number 3 though. All right, guys. Just like the best solo school in the game, Death is really good early on in the game as well, which is why it's at the number 3 spot. So I put Death at number 3 because the other 2 schools on this list that's above Death just has a lot of other good perks about them early on in the game, which is why they're above Death. So Death is great. I mean, you don't get an AoE for quite a while as Death. Death doesn't get an AoE until, again, level 48, which is, again, why they're a little bit lower than the number 2 school. Not too much lower, though. It's just a tad. So, Death doesn't get an AoE until level 48, which is Scarecrow, but you can still get other AoEs. You can get Ship of Fools and Deer Knight from packs. You can also get Deer Knight from Lore Master. You can also craft it if you want to get it before Scarecrow. And Lore Masters and Dragonspire and Arcanum. If you guys want me to make a video on, you know, how to get like some of these extra spells here, then I can make a separate video on all talking about all like the Lore Master spells and like maybe which packs to get them from. So if you guys want me to do that, I can. But yeah, Death gets great spells early on. Like you get Death Blade and Death Trap early on. You can also get Death Prism, which is very useful. And yeah, so that just gets a lot of good spells. It's 85% chance of summoning, and you hit and get half your health back. And that reason alone is pretty much why you get. Why this school is pretty much better than Fire, in my opinion. All the other schools. Also, you get a great healing spell early on called Sacrifice. Take 250 damage to yourself and heal 700 to the target. And this school is just great. Like, there's nothing really wrong with Death. You get Poison after Marleybone. You get Vampire. Like, these spells are just great. Wraith, like, nothing wrong with Death. 85% chance of summoning. It's like I think that's the second best percentage for accuracy in the game. I think Balance also is 85%, so both of those schools have pretty much the same percentage. And yeah, that's pretty much why Death is at number 3. So let's go ahead and talk about the number 2 school now. Alright guys, so here we are with the number 2 school. You guys probably guessed this school was probably going to be up near the top. Now this school, Ice is the name of it. So Ice is the number 2 school. Mainly because they have lots of health. They got the best resistance in the game. They have 80% accuracy, which is decent. But the reason why they're not number one, and what I hate about Ice, is that you don't get Ice Blade until level 38. So you are without Ice Blade until you hit level 38 with this school. So you have to rely on Elemental Blades, you have to rely on a Pet Blade, TC Blades, and yeah, that just gets annoying all the way up to level 38. Ice also has an AoE at level 22, which is Blizzard. I'll show you guys here in the spell deck. So Ice gets, I mean, they also get Freeze and Tower Shield. Tower Shield's amazing, minus 50% to any damage spell in a game, which is why they're very high on this list, is mainly because of this spell right here. Now, this spell is amazing to use against, you know, any school, so that's just why Ice is this high. Again, you don't get Ice Blade until level 38, which is annoying, and is pretty much why this school is number 2. I could have switched it with Death, but I'm just going on by my opinion. I thought Ice was a little bit more fun to play early on in the game than Death, and which is why I moved it up to number 2. It's just my personal opinion. But the top like 4 schools on this list could pretty much replace each other based on personal preference. I just like Death a little bit more than Fire early on, but later on in the game though, it all changes. So if you guys want me to make a list for like the best schools maxed, like the maxed level best schools, then I can make a list, make a whole completely different video for that, for the maxed level best schools in the game. But this is for the low levels for starting off, and that's pretty much why Ice is so low, is because the Ice Blade you don't get to level 38, which is annoying. And the low level Ice spells are pretty good, like there's nothing wrong with them. Blizzard's great AoE for level 22. You don't get Reindeer Knights and another AoE, but you get this from Lore Master during the holidays. So yeah, same thing in Winter Moon. Ice is great for PvP. Frost Giant's also one of the worst AoEs for level 48 in the game, with 460 damage and stun all enemies. So Ice is pretty weak for some of its spells later on in the game. It's just King Zhao just decided to nerf Ice quite a bit. So yeah, that's pretty much the main reason why Ice is also so low. Not number 1, is because they just don't have as great of spells as the number 1 school on this list early on in the game. And the number 1 school on this list, you guys can probably already tell if you followed along this video. But yeah, we'll get to number 1 here soon. I'm just gonna go over these spells more. So Frostbite, great spell, overtime, one of the best overtime single hits in the game. Reindeer Knight, like Ice gets some decent overtime spells just like Fire. Accuracy is also not bad at 80%. And yeah, so this school really, it's pretty good early on. And health, like I said, is the best, and resistance is also the best in the game. So that also makes Ice pretty easy to play when you're a low level, and makes it smooth sailing, especially when you get Tower Shield and some other higher level spells in the game. And you have to rely on Ice Trap a lot and your treasure cards a lot early on. But once you hit level 38 and level 26, you'll start getting more blades to help you out. So yeah, this is the main reason why Ice is number 2. So let's go ahead and move on to the number 1 now, guys. I don't really have much to say more about this school. Alright guys, here we are with the number 1 best school to start off with in the game, in my opinion. So Balance is very strong early on in the game. They have an AoE at level 16. That's the earliest AoE you can get, is at level 16, which is Sandstorm. And also, you know, Balance has some decent spells early on. Like, you get Weakness to weaken the boss. You have Elemental Shield, Spirit Shields to get protection from ice, storm, fire, myth, life, and death. You get all that protection at a low level as well. You get balance blade, precision and booster accuracy if you wanted to, hex, black mantle for inaccuracy. Like, there's nothing wrong with balance early on. You even get in one of the best single hits as well, judgment here, level 28. Like, this school just gets a lot of great spells early on in the game, and there's just really nothing to complain about this school. It's amazing. You get Spectral Blast at level 22, I think, and this spell is your go-to single hit spell for balance bosses. And yeah, so again, Sandstorm level 16, really good for getting all enemies. And yeah, this is why pretty much the main reason why this school is at number 1. Spectral Blast is really good. Veiling Hands is a pretty good healing spell. Sandstorm, and its other low level hit spells, they're actually not too bad. Like, Scarab's not bad, Scorpion, Locust Swarm, Helping Hands, which is the downgrade of Veiling Hands, not too shabby. Man Your Minions, one of the best level 18 minions in the game. It's very helpful compared to the other minions, and it can be pretty annoying PvP as well, which is great for this school. And you also get all the balance spells for free pretty much. So you get Spirit Traps, Elemental Traps, you get all that for free. You get Hydra, has been buffed recently as well. So Hydra is now stronger. It's one of the best 6-pip spells in the game. And Power Nova also got a buff. So Balance got a lot of buffs recently, and that's pretty much what teetered it above the last 3 schools I talked about, is mainly because of those buffs. And also you just get great spells early on. Gameplay wise, Balance is very easy to play, and which is why it's number 1 at this list. It's an overall school. It's a great support school. It's one of the best support schools in the game, and it's just easy to play. This school, you just can't go wrong with Balance. It's so easy to play. I think this school will be the easiest play for any beginners who play Wizard101. It's just smooth sailing. And yeah, that's pretty much why this school is number 1, and why all the other schools are below it, is because this school is just an overall easy school to play. You can't, all that protection you have with those shields, and if you have ice as your secondary skill with the tower shield, balance bosses are no problem either. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video now, guys. I really have nothing much else to talk about. If you guys like the video, please like it up. And this is again pretty much based off my own opinions, and after playing each and every one of these schools early on from the ground up all the way up to max level, this was just the easiest school for me to quest as early on in the game. It was easier than Ice, easier than any other school, just because you get all these juicy great spells like weakness and all these shields and stuff early on. Balance Blade you can use for any other school. I think you get Balance Blade in Crocotopia, I think, so you don't get that for a little bit, but yeah. And Blade Storm as well. I think you get Blade Storm at level 38, somewhere around there. I don't quite remember. It's been a while since I played Balance at that low level. But yeah, you get great spells early on. Just like Storms. I mean, Storm's best spell early on is probably Tempest at level 28. But the accuracy is just bad, like I said, and same thing with the health. So that's why Storm's number 7. And I pretty much discussed all that early on in this video. So if you guys just skip through the video all the way to just see number 1, go back and see the other schools and see my points and why I chose those schools for that position. And tell me what you guys think. What was your favorite school to start off with? What was the easiest for you to quest as at the start? If you guys want, comment down below if you guys will like me to make a video on which school I think is the best school at maxed level, which is completely different than this best school to start off with, because all the spells in the game has changed significantly. The stats of all the schools at max level also changed significantly. So it is completely different for which school is the best school at max level. So I'll be pretty interested in making that video. It's going to be pretty difficult for me to make that video as well, because there's a lot of like good and bad points about schools at max level. So things could flip-flop like a lot. There's going to be a lot of shuffling around for the best school in the game at max level. So yeah. And if you guys want me to do max, which school is the best attack school, which school is the best like support school, heal school, tank school, I can make several videos for that as well. If you have any other suggestions for me, please put them down in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe to the video, it helps me out and lets me know that you guys want to see more of this kind of content in the future. So more likes this video gets, the more videos and more like of these tier lists I do. So like it up for me and we'll see what comes out next. So thanks again for watching, everyone, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.